All right. Well, good morning. Welcome to Hints and Hacks, Breaking Down the Walls. Presenters Danya. I'm your host, Sean Hurley. Let's go to the next slide, please. Community conversations are virtual meetups featuring expert speakers like Danya from across the community. Sessions range from deep dives, tips and tricks, and live demonstrations on products such as AutoCAD, Revit, Dynamo, and Fusion 360 to roundtables and industry insights and emerging trends. All kinds of stuff, all different levels of experience. So go and take a look at the community conversations calendar. There's probably something else in there you might be interested in. Let's go to the fun lawyer statement. Just to put this in a nutshell, Danya's not an employee of Autodesk, so her opinions are her own. Secondly, if you make any purchasing decisions, make sure you make those based on the product as they are today. So if we talk about, some crazy automatic door tool that reads your mind, it might be nice and fun, but we can't promise you that in the future, even though we might be working on it. But so make your decisions based on the products that we are today. Next, please. All right, just fun little logistics here. Lines are muted just to reduce the background noise. We invite you to turn on your camera where possible. Kind of gives us that in-person feeling. Speaking of in-person feeling, AU is coming up in September, and we hope to have community conversations there in the live and streaming out. So that would be a lot of fun to be able to high-five a speaker when they help you out. Raise your hand using the little Zoom function down in the bottom right there, or go post your questions in the chat. We can unmute you, or you can ask in the chat. We'll reread your questions to Danya when she gets a chance to take a break. Sessions are always recorded. The recording will be posted to the event page as well as to YouTube. So go to the event page about in the next day, and you'll see the recording here that you can share with everybody. I will say that we're working on a way that you'll just be able to go to the event page and watch this event. You won't have to get into Zoom and all that good stuff. It'll all be embedded in the page. So that should be in the next probably 2 weeks, I hope. All right, next, please. All right, introductions. I'm Sean Hurley.
Wow.
Okay, you're jumpy today, Danya. I'm Sean Hurley. I'm your Autodesk Community Engagement Manager. I'm a geeky technologist in Bend, Oregon. To you, Danya.
And I am Donnie Tabor Hanson. I'm out of Knoxville, Tennessee. I am an Autodesk certified professional. Oh, I better take that off. My certification ran out. But I can put expert lead on there. So that just happened. I've been an Autodesk University speaker and speaker mentor, and I do just about anything with Revit. So we're going to have some fun with this today. So why don't I just get us started? This is the session agenda. The first thing we're going to do is start by stopping at the bar. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. No, we're going to talk about breaking down walls. So we're going to look at different things about walls, and stopping at the bar is one of the first things you need to do. We're going to cover everything across the bar. Some things you may not have touched on before, some you might have. I'm hoping that there's going to be one thing that just like, wow, never thought of that today. But a lot of these things are things we're going to have been using for years. So just bear with me on the tedious stuff. We're going to get some juicy little nuggets in there somewhere. We're going to look at the drawing tools and directions and how they affect the walls. We're going to look at some wall types and then a lot of little exercise stuff. So let's dive into stopping at the bar. And we want to start with the options bar. When you start anything, you're in the ribbon area, any command in Revit. Take a look at the bar before you go down into your drawing area, because it's very important what all is on there. There's always nuggets of information of things that you can do. So this is the options bar for drawing a wall. You can set your height and depth option, determines if the wall will be drawn from the level up or the level down. If you've never done that, we're going to do that today. We're going to draw it down. The benefit of drawing down, you can draw a foundation wall without having a foundation level. You don't have to have a level down there. You can just draw down. And unconnected, if it's unconnected for the level names, if you go between the level name and the unconnected, when it's at the level, you don't get to do anything with the height, but the height can be set measurably if you're going to be using an unconnected. So if you've got the interior walls that go up just above the ceiling, but not all the way up in the plenum, you can just stop the walls up there with a certain height and not have to have it connected to a level. Now, continuing on the bar, you will have the location lines. You select what part of the wall will be following the cursor as you draw. Your options are wall center. That could be a lot of fun with some of these walls with brick to gyp, because the wall center doesn't matter in there to us. It's not the wall center for that one. Wall center would be used more with walls that have a balance of material on either side, one thing of gyp on either side. Then you can have center on the wall. Concrete walls, center line's great. Your core center line, sometimes that's important if you're doing things that the columns and stuff are doing this on the center line and you want your walls to be the core center line. Finish face exterior, if you're bound by a building envelope and you have to stay within certain size. Finish face interior, maybe you're working on interior walls and you have to draw along a boundary there. Your core face exterior or interior, these are probably the most common used ways of drawing, because we're working with what generally all our dimensions go to, which is the core of the wall, which is our structural parts of the walls. There's a chain option, which just means I'm going to draw from here to here to here to here, instead of from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. That means it just chains all the way around. You don't have it start and stopping. I don't know why you take the chain off, unless you are doing just wall segment here and a wall segment here, a wall segment. But yeah, chain is usually left on. It's kind of normal, although I've seen a lot of unnormal Revit. The offset option will allow you to draw a certain distance from the cursor, and this is different than the pick offset. This is drawing with an offset. If you're following a boundary around a parking lot, for example, and you want to put some sort of retaining wall, you might want to have it offset a certain distance, then you could draw around something like that. And you can set the distance it's going to be away from your cursor. And again, this away from the cursor is based on what you've chosen for your location line. So your location line is always going to be what you're drawing from. And we're going to look at some of those in particular here in just a minute. Since arc walls are possible, when you select an arc, make sure you select the radius. There's no good to have an arc without a radius. So it's on the bar. Stop at the bar. It's on the way down. The join status would either allow or disallow the joining of walls when it meets up with another one. We're going to look at that when we look at wall joins and wall corners and stuff here in just a little bit, but just aware that's the end of the bar. So that's covered everything across the bar. Now let's go look at how these things are used in some of our exercises and stuff. The drawing tools that show up, I'm used to these drawing tools. I do a lot of families, a lot of extrusions, sweeps, etc. The one that doesn't show up in families is this, the option to go by an edge. Otherwise, you've got some closed lines and stuff and a variety of options there with inscribed, circumscribed, polygons, square / rectangle, the circle, the ellipse, then you've got the open lines. And then you've got the one where you can pick edges. This one is used more often than not for curtain walls going on some sort of surface that is a mass or something. Yeah, pick face to a mass or generic model to select the shape of a wall. I've seen this used in curtain walls, but it's not often used. And when drawing wall, just remember there is an exterior side and an interior side. And even with interior walls, there's an interior side and exterior side. And drawing in a clockwise direction around the perimeter will keep the outside of the wall outside of the building. But you can use the space bar to flip to get the exterior on the side. So let's look at that. Let's look at a few things here. So if I want to go get a wall, and I'm going to pick, yeah, I'll just stick with this one. And I'm going to make it up to level 2. I'm going to draw, not from the wall center. I'm going to start probably with the face of core. I'm going to leave it chained, etc. And when I start drawing, my cursor is on the face of core. If I want to flip the wall the other way, I hit space bar, and now the exterior part is down. So you can draw around your building in a clockwise motion, keeping the exterior of the wall to the outside. If you keep that in mind, you don't have to remember to flip back and forth sometimes. It's kind of weird. I've got this real thing about reference planes. And if you followed me along, especially about families early on, I must have talked about the reference planes in 3 different sessions. Reference planes have a front and a back. And with reference planes, to keep the front towards the centroid of your object, you draw counterclockwise. With walls, you draw clockwise. It's a practice thing. Once you get it in your mindset, it's a practice thing that you'll start learning to get that going again, going in there. So it's just a practice that I have done. And I know when I draw my reference planes, I immediately think where I want the inside of it to be. Same thing with walls. I want to know where the inside is going to be. Okay. And talking about the walls, with their location line, this wall was drawn with the face of the exterior. This one was drawn with face of core. I drew this line here. There's just a little line in here, and I drew it and put all of these across through here according to their location line. This one was drawn with, let me quit selecting the line. That was drawn with center line of core. This was drawn with face of interior face, yes, interior face of wall. So it matters where you're going. And these were all drawn along this line like this. Now, you can change your location line. If I would prefer this to be on the face of core, then I can come over here to its instant properties and change it to core face exterior. It doesn't move the wall. All it did was move your location line of the wall. Now, let me undo and put that back to show you something else about it. Did I put it back? Yeah. Also, when you want to flip them, it's going to flip around the location line, which can be very important to you to know if you want to keep your location line on that face of core. See? So this one would flip it right around the face of core, putting my brick except to the outside and my gyp to the inside, or vice versa, and yet keep the same core line running across. This is center line, so of course, center on the core, it's going to just flip the exterior and the exterior out and in. But just because you drew something with interior face doesn't mean you can't go over here and change it to have your core face exterior. Also, when you're aligning things, if I want to align this, if I want to align this to the center of the core, I can tab to get that. But by default, it's going to want to go to certain things. So if I hit align and go here, it wants to go to there. It wants to go to interior face of core. It wants to go outside. So that's the 3 that it wants to go to all the time. If you want to align a wall, it's going to be your exterior face of wall, your exterior core, and your interior face of wall. Those are the 3 that it defaults to, but you can tab into the center line of core. I can get to the core face. So you can tab to get to the others, but the ones it's going to go to most often is your face of wall on either side and your face of exterior core. Those are the defaults, which as it should be, I think. Those are the ones who are concerned about the most. Okay. Oh yeah, I want to show you something else. Also, when you are, I put something up here. When you're working with a wall and you want to use, what up? No, I do components too often. And you're using the draw tools. You know, you can pick any of these, but when you want to use the pick line, when you pick a line, you better make sure you know where you're going here And I can pick the line and it goes there. I can pick the line here and it goes that way. It has nothing to do with which way the reference planes were drawn, because the reference planes are both drawn in different directions. You can tell which way a reference plane was drawn because the exterior of the reference plane has the name on it, or the click to name. So these are two different directions. What matters on the pick line when you're doing a wall is which side of the line that you're picking, line or edge of wall or edge of concrete or whatever you're picking. I'm going to finish face of exterior. No, I'm going to go to core exterior. And if I pick with my arrow tip above the line, oh, I hit pick face. That ain't going to work. Core face exterior. If I pick above it, that puts the exterior outside. If I pick below it, it puts the exterior to the lower side. So that's the difference in using pick line as to which way it's going to go, is whether your arrow tip is above or below the line, or left or right of the line, whichever. You want to make sure you have your arrow tip to the side that you want to have your external material. Okay. Are there any questions up to this point?
No, we've hit a wall.
You've been waiting all day for that, haven't you? You waited ever since I brought this one up. Yeah. Okay. Location
we did get a northeastern comment from Matt Murphy. So
yes.
Location line, wicked cool. I can't say it like Matt, but
no, nobody says it like Matt. Okay. So yeah, just learning about the location line and stuff, and those little intricacies of your aligning tools and tabbing through and things like that. We get to drawing and we do the same thing. And if we don't like it, we generally like rip it out and just redo it. Instead, you can learn ways to fix it instead of having to redo things sometimes by looking at those little aspects of the wall tools. Okay, we got several different wall types. We get your basic wall, which may have one or more layers, and it goes from one level to the other, which I was working with what I considered a basic wall. They can have sweeps and caps and reveals. And different layers in them, different materials and stuff. They can be structural or architectural. And the difference in the structural and architectural have to do with whether you feel like your core of your wall is the structural wall or not. And that's something you'd have to determine as you're going along. A stacked wall is made from aligning one basic wall on top of another to have a stacked wall. And we're going to look at all of these things here. And we're going to look at sweeps, reveals, and all this stuff. And they most typically will share some of the same layers so that you have a continuity of the material going from one layer or from one stack to the other stack, from one wall to the other type. They can also be structural, architectural, and the other type of walls they have is curtain walls. And they're made out of mullions and pinions, and that's a whole different lesson in itself. And if you're interested in that, give me a message in the chat or something if you would like to have a session just on curtain walls. I've got 2 more sessions already planned, but we can put curtain walls out there if you want to. So I'm not getting into curtain walls today. Like I said, there's not an hour long enough to do curtain walls in with what else we have. All right, a little exercise. Let's stand up, stretch your arms. No, let's talk about exercising with walls. And it starts with knowing your layers. So I'm going to get into, I'm going to just grab this wall, he's handy, and start looking at the layers. You get into those when you edit type in your layers. When I first started teaching Revit, there's an architect says, oh, good, layers, finally. I'm like, no, not, he came from AutoCAD. No, this is layers that are different. This is when you go and you say edit type, and these are your layers of your walls. Your exterior side is to the top. Your interior side is to the bottom. I don't know why this one gets so big on me sometimes, but you can go through your layers and see what all you've got. And this is a pretty robust set of layers here with brick. It's got concrete down here on the bottom. Okay, with air filtration, plywood metal stud. The metal stud is the structural part. It is held between your core boundaries. Your core boundaries, you cannot change the thickness of or something. They are just held there to make sure that there is a delineation for your core and your finishes. Your finish 1 or 4 is considered external finishes. Your finish 2 or 5 is considered internal finishes. So your structure is first, your substrate, and then you go with your thermal layers and then your finishes. That's your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Some of them don't have anything, like your membrane layer. Well, it's also got a thickness of 0. And I can look at this layer because this has 2 finishes here and they're tied together. This has got a split in it. You can't see it here because you have to go into an elevation or a section. So there is a split in the material. And when you do a split, they have to have the same thickness. We'll do a split here in a little bit, but that's why that one has 2 finish 4s up there, or finish 1 function 4 up there, so that you can have the 2 different materials on those. If you want to have a different thickness, the way to do that would be to get a stacked wall to do that. Okay, we're going to get into all this stuff as we go along. So right now we're just looking at the layers, and these are your layers. You can determine if they wrap or not. I'm going to go back to a floor plan view, and when they wrap at inserts, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the exterior. I'm going to go ahead and wrap both. And at the ends, I'm going to wrap exterior. Well, see, I don't have an insert in the preview. I can't show you an insert, but I can show you the at ends where it wraps the exterior, and you can see what happens when you wrap the exterior. You can also decide whether it wraps or not. Maybe you don't want the plywood to wrap. So you take that off. The plywood wouldn't wrap. Your air still wraps. You need to have something to hang the brick on. Maybe you want the plywood to wrap, but you can determine how things work or not when they're going through there, and how they turn in and how they wrap. This piece out here, that is your reveal, which a reveal will not wrap. So that's what that little piece sticking out at the top is. And you can see that in section right there. So that would be the part you saw sticking out that didn't wrap around. So that's about it with layers for now. Okay. Placing the wall by knowing your layer. Use the flipper if necessary. Remember that the flipper shows up on the outside of the line or outside of the wall, and that's one way to tell if you're in course view and you only see the lines. That's one way to tell about that. Let's look at that while I'm thinking of it. When I am in edit type, here is your course. And do you want a fill pattern when you're in course? Maybe I'll say I just want a solid fill. It's going to be black, so that if I am in course view, yeah, it's a bit much. That's why it's usually set to nothing. So that's one thing that has going for it. That's why if you look at somebody's drawings, you see all these heavy black lines. That's what has happened. I get it all the time from architects. We don't do a lot of walls and stuff. We do kitchens, but I had a previous life in doing this. And when we do need something set up where we only have a CAD version, then I go in and I do the walls and such most of the time for people here. So I still did stay in touch with these things. But sometimes when we get a reference file from somebody, they have turned all their walls black in course. And it's like, good night of money. It's a bit much for us, we think. But at least I know how to get rid of it. All right. Please, when you draw walls, go all the way. If your wall goes from level 1 to the roof, tell it to go to the roof. Go ahead and attach it to the roof. That way the roof level moves up and down. It moves automatically with it. It's attached. And that you think, well, that's easy to do. What about your shaft walls? I got into a building one time and was asked to figure out why the file was so large. They were drawing the shaft walls on every level. Well, we need that level. Well, why don't you just go ahead and send your stairway walls all the way up? Send your elevator walls all the way up. That way they're already there. When I worked on the last big project I worked on for an architectural firm was a dormitory. Me and one other guy was doing the Revit model. I had core shaft walls and such. I had exterior and had all the internal glass. It was a dormitory. Down on the lower level, they had a lot of storefront and such. So I was doing all the storefront. I also had all the stairs, and we had a glass stair. And I think I used, I used a rail that was made out of the ship wiring, just the wire rail type thing. It's really neat. I've gone in to see it once. It is amazing. But when I was working on that, the guy that was working on the interiors, he could interact with mine. He could use it and interact with the walls to connect to them. But we just had an agreement. I did these walls and he did those walls. And we had them on different work sets so that we could keep up with them. It's just easier if you're going to send that wall up, send it, go all the way. There's no reason not to. All right. Creating a compound wall. I'm going to do a little exercise. So here I've got a building I've just thrown up here to play with. I've got a foundation here, and I see where I had put the reference planes. I'm a big believer in reference planes, really big believer in reference planes, and aligning things to reference planes. I know that these go right along the core of my wall. I can see a wall opening there. Yeah. So I'm going to do a foundation type of wall. So I'm going to go to wall and architectural. Pick me a foundation, 12-inch concrete. And I'm going to draw, I've already set it to depth, unconnected. So I already played around with this one. You want to make sure if you're going to do, now I want to say, let's say -6 feet. Please enter a value, -6. Oh, come back here. Okay, let's start over. It says no, we can't start over. Why? Okay, oh, it's going down. I'm going to have to do that. So if we go here, 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 work ourselves around. I'm going to go into this section down here and look at this. It went down 12 feet. I was trying to do negative. It went down the 12 feet that was sitting in there. So that allowed me to go through and put this in there. And notice there's no level down here. I have no level. To get this view, I went in and duplicated my level 1 and edited my view range. I set the cut plane to be at 0 and the level to go down to -6. Maybe I want to go down to -12. Let's do -13, just cause. So therefore, I'm looking at a level 1 plan view that has a cut plane at 0, and I'm looking down below the level. So I'm not seeing the above stuff. So that way I can keep from having another level, just because, I don't know, I'm trying to do something different here, show you something unusual, ways to do things differently. But now let's take this and let's get us a compound wall. I mean, a stacked wall. I want a stacked wall. And thought I had it in here. Oh, I had a blow up. That's what it was. I had a blow up and lost my project like last night. And I can't find the one I did. Let me come back to that. And I'll look at retaining wall, edit type. No, I'm going to come back to that. I lost my example and it's thrown a loop at me. So let's keep going on. Okay, we drew downward. So now let's talk about pulling the layers down. When we have the exterior layers that want to pull down over this, let's go and get in this section and let's grab this wall. We want to pull the layers down across this. This is something you've probably done in the past. It's just a simple rule of what gets unlocked. So if I come in here to the structure of this, and this keeps getting wider. When I go preview, that's where it gets wider because I keep having preview on. And I'm in the section mode. I can come to the modify here and go in, and when I hit modify, I can slide in here and pick on this and I can unlock this. I had to make sure that it was not on a layer. What was happening there a minute ago, I should tell you, is it was picked on this and that was highlighted, so I couldn't modify. So I had to make sure it was not setting on a layer. I just want to try to finish that. So when I hit modify, I'm not on a layer and I can modify and pick this and unlock it. Now I can pull these three things down. So now when I'm in a section view, this one had already been pulled at one point. So now I can pull this down. I can also determine how far down it goes. -2 feet. So it has a stop. So therefore that's how you can get your exterior wall to cover over your foundation wall when you're doing that. And that's how you can pull the different layers for yourself. Sweeps, reveals, and caps. These are pretty easily done. You do have to have a profile for these, and a profile has to be drawn with a completed loop, with the loop going all the way around. It is something that they have some great examples in here, but I'm going to show you a little extra something on them where I've put some details in. So I'm going to go and get this wall and change him out to brick on metal stud. No, you're not it. Yeah, here's one with all kinds of reveals on him. He has a sweep, he has the split, he has reveals, he has a cap. And let's go look at him. Under edit type, we'll go to structure and we'll go to a preview and start down here looking at these sweeps. He has 3 sweeps. He has a parapet cap. You notice when I pick on it, he highlights over here. There's a wall sweep of brick. That's a brick soldier course. It's hiding around up here at the top. Let me zoom in on this just to show you. So there's that. He has a seal, which is right here. These other 3 are reveals. We'll look at those in just a minute. So we have these 3 going along with here, but this is Simeo metal stud. Let me go get one that has, I'll show you, if you have some details such as the, there's metals. So if you have a detail such as the sole plate or the top plates that you want to add to your walls, you can do that with sweeps. I just need to add one, and the profile has to be loaded. I've got a 6-inch metal stud profile that I'm going to add 0 from the base. I'm going to put it on the bottom. Perpendicular face, offset. We'll look at that in a minute. I'm going to show you how it's done. So I'm not going to have it cut the wall because the wall is going to go through. This is just a detail. And it doesn't matter if it's cuttable or not, because I'm not going to. The cuttable has to do with whether, when you put something in there, whether it cuts it or not. Typically, I would have these cuttable, so they could just be cut with anything that goes in there, doors, walls, doors, windows, etc.
Danya?
Yes.
I've been waiting for a question. Kimberly threw one out wall related here. What is your method for troubleshooting wall joins?
We're going to come up on that.
Awesome.
I got some wall joins set up to play around with. So I will cover Kimberly's question. Okay, so when I tell that okay, it goes into the outside and it doesn't look like what I told it was. So just to give you an idea, let me go ahead and pull that up here. And I'm going to edit it. You have to have a continuous profile. So I think I'm really smart. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna make my continuous profile. 4 lines, and I made them invisible lines. Well, they're still gonna cut. You're still gonna have a line, so it doesn't matter. It could be regular lines or profile lines or don't. But and then I just placed in here a detail item for C studs section 6, found inside, it's in out of the box detail. And that's what I created my profile with. And I just know it's 6 inches. I didn't go through and put reference planes on it and all this other stuff. I just went as simple as fast as possible. So I go in here with that and I put it in here. And look, when I'm outside the wall, I can see the detail. But when I am editing the wall, I don't see the detail. So when you're building it, it's like, did it happen? Did it not? Because I've got this gray blob here. Well, it's gray because you have no material on it. So when I come back over here to the sweeps, he has no, it's material by category. What's the material by category by default in Revit? It's gray, the gray blob. Now I want to push it back in, and I know that I've got a 1/2 inch jip over here, and I know that this wall is total thickness of 1 7/8. So I got to push it in all but 1/2 inch of that. So I want it to go offset. Now here's where I get mixed up. Is it here or is it here? Here. I'm gonna go with here. And I want to go 1 foot 1 3/8. And I did it wrong. I went down. I do this every time. It has to be negative for it to go that way. There. So now I've got it inside my wall. And now I've got it where it will show up with this wall every time. So if I do a wall section, it's already there. How about the top plate? We got 2 at the top we want. Same thing. We're going to edit the wall. And we're going to go get, oh, can I go here? I keep going down too fast. I'm going to get the sweep. And we're going to have add and add. I'm going to put 2 of them up there. I'm going to copy this. But instead of that, I'm going to put it from the top. And to keep them going on top of one another, I'm going to flip one of them. And flip's going to flip it down. And from the top, the distance is 1 5/8. No, come on, Danya. You're working inches too much. Control C, Control V. Okay, okay. Did I tell it? Where did I tell it to go? Come back. Minus. Okay. Did both of them get a minus on it? Yeah. But this one of them needs to be Nope, I got 2 of them up there. By flipping it, I get it down there. Otherwise, I could move one down. So now let's go see what it actually looks like. And you have your 2 studs built in up there. Okay. And you can go look at that same wall and figure out some more things. Let's look at a split. Let's look at my time. Oh, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. Right over here. This one's already got a split. Let's change it to something that doesn't have a split. Brick on CMU. Yeah, no split. So we're going to go in here and edit this wall and come down here to modify. Slide it over here. And if you want to split a region, slide them up here, split. And my thing, do not hit escape. You're like, I'm done, escape. It will take you out of here. I've practiced this several times this week and I keep hitting escape. It'll take you right out. It's not what you want. So now I need to assign layers. I need to add a layer. Insert. Notice the thickness is 0. I'm going to come in here with a precast concrete, something. And then I can, I want to assign layer. There. So by picking on this, coming down here to assign layer, then I can go in here and I can assign that layer to that. If you decide you don't want it, you can merge your layers. When you merge the layer, I want to pick on the side down below, so it came down below, the arrow thing pointed down, and I can put the brick back. But that's how you can do a split. Okay, yeah, let's delete that. I didn't have a split. He's like, what are we doing here with 0 finish on that? Yeah, we're done. Oh, you are broken. We split the layers and now I've got 2 different pulls. But let's get back to tapered walls. Can't remember when they came out. They've been out for a little while. When you do these, you have to make sure you have a layer that is, yeah, whatever, it's going to make me say. You have to make sure you have a layer that has a variable. If you don't have a layer that's a variable, you can't make a tapered wall. So I have a tapered wall over here, set to go. And I'm going to come in here and look at this. Well, that's a slant wall. We'll get back to that one in a minute. A tapered wall. Let me go ahead and put this on a medium. See, I've got a layered wall, and this layered wall has got a taper to it. So the only thing you need to learn is how to get in there and do this. And to do that, you have edit my type. You see this extra checkbox? We haven't covered that one. That's when you make a material that has a variable value to it. And this is 7 5/8. And you notice the 7 5/8 started at the top. So when I put this wall in, once you have a tapered wall, well, if you want it tapered, come down here, there is a cross section here that says tapered. And you can set your exterior angle or your interior angle. This one has an exterior angle 5 and an interior angle 0. If I gave this one also a, let's go with a little bit more. Let's go with 5 also. See how it angles out on both of them. But this is where you control how your taper goes. Now, from here, I can also go back and tell that you're a slanted wall. Oh, yeah, it goes, what? I'm slanted at what angle? And the whole wall will go slanted, which is what I had in the other section also. So I have a slanted wall up here, pre-set up. And this one was, yeah, this was just a basic wall. Nothing, no layers to it or anything. And it was just slanted. You can tell what angle you want it to be on and stuff. And if you want to go back to a vertical wall, you can. If you go back to slanted, you can go back and put some slant on it. The only way I can go back to tapered is if I had something that was variable with it. So that is your tapered and slanted walls. Now let's talk about editing a wall profile. Just don't. No. People edit wall profiles. Why? Because they need to put an opening in it. Well, put an opening in it. It's one thing that drives a lot of people nuts. I'm one of them. When you want to go in and you pick on a wall and you go grab this right here, it says edit wall profile. Think very hard while you're doing this. Do you need a wall opening? Go grab wall opening. It's right there next to it. So here I have put in a wall opening. I didn't have to go and edit the profile to cut a hole in it. Don't edit profile if you can keep from it at all. Don't. Just no. No. That's a yeah, no. Hurts me. That's enough on profiles now. Floors to walls. I'm gonna go into the second floor and put in a floor just up here. Let's go ahead and make this medium. When you choose a floor, the way it interacts with the wall depends on the type of floor that you choose. So if I choose an architectural floor, room bounding, fine. Go by boundaries. Let's just go ahead and say select walls and hover, tab, pick, and say, yep, we're good. Sure. Now let's go look at our section. This wall had let's come here. This went up to level 2. What if we go unconnected and go 20 feet? He says no. Not gonna let me. Undo, undo. So it took that wall down to that level and that floor went in there. If this wall is structural, when he's put in, he will want to cut into the, so let's go back to level 2 and do a floor and make it structural, and it should interact with the wall and cut into the wall. Architectural, floor, structural, hover, tab, pick. That's what I did. I had said to go ahead and attach. I'm gonna say don't attach. And now when we go back in here, this one's not going into the wall. What did I mess up? Undo, 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 undo. This is redo. No. My walls are not, it's not going to go into the walls today. This is not my day for floors. This is my day for walls. We're going to have a whole section on floors soon.
The floors are just, they're just jealous. That's what it is. Tired of the walls getting all the attention.
Yeah. And I swear, some days you can practice this stuff and it doesn't help. So when I go to and see, that time it went into the walls. Don't attach. Okay. I don't see that I did anything much different, but yeah, it went into the walls. The structural will want to go into the walls. The architectural floors that are not structural, we want to be like, in my house, I've got log walls that went all the way up. So we have joist hangers on the log walls to put the upstairs floors in. Floors got me. Okay. Roofs and walls, you just attach them. I'm looking at my time. I don't have a roof in here, so I'm going to go to the wall joints because I want to make sure that I get that question answered. And I have things set up over here for joining walls. These walls are drawn just around through here. And you can go when you get to your modify tools, and when you want to look at your wall joins, you can come in here and pick on these, and then you can decide whether you want to allow join or don't allow join. If you don't allow join, see, it's going to go straight in there. And if you allow join, let's put it back. When you go and get wall joins and you want to pick on them, then you can also have these options here. That's a but, and you can hit next and decide which way it's going to go. So it's a very subtle thing here on this one. Miter is also an option, and I have worked on some walls that had funky things going on, and miter was the best way to get them to join. But it's just come up here and looking at your options here, and you can go to the previous version or something. If you go to but, you go next and previous, or you can square them off, which not gonna make a whole lot of difference here. But let's look what squared off does to this one right here. So here I can do the but, and I can go to the next and decide which material is going to pass which one, or I can do the miter. But when I go to square off, that squares it off, all right. Squared off on the next. So I've got two versions here of square off. You want to do that one or that one? So it's a matter of, first you got to make sure you allow joins, and don't forget to try these variables up here when you're working on your wall joints. Make sure you try these out. Does that answer the question, Kimberly? Most time people just hit this and they hit this and they're like, well, it didn't work. Don't forget, what did I start at the beginning of the thing? Stop at the bar.
You got it.
You can do a clean join or don't clean join. Well, yes, I'll do that. That'd be ridiculous. But no.
Kimberly says you got it.
Stop at the bar. Yeah, stop at the bar and see what you've got going on here, because you've got options. And just what it does when you first pick on it does not mean that that's what it's going to stay. So you do want to stop at the bar when you do that.
All right, Danya, are we getting close to a point we can make a break?
Yes, I think I hit Q&A.
Any questions, anybody? I think you were so thorough in going through every little option in the walls and some great tips and tricks in there that maybe you didn't have any questions, because normally there's a whole bunch of questions.
Well, the stacked wall of me fell out, so I'll make that a blog post. I'll follow up with a blog post about the stacked wall.
That would be awesome. That
Yeah.
would be awesome. And it's nice to see entities inside of Revit having little disagreements and you having to undo, because watching you troubleshoot is also a learning.
Oh man, when it comes to Revit CSI, I can fly with all of them. Yeah, Revit Forensics, that's my new title, yeah.
Inspector Tabor Hansen. All right.
Right. Well, I really appreciate that everybody would take some time out of their day to come spend with me and hopefully pick up and look. Tell me, did you get something new? Everybody said, I know that Kimberly got hers. Yeah.
Yeah, we so appreciate your efforts in these, Danya, and your wisdom and all the goodness. So
yeah, just drawing down, that was new to me when I started playing around with some things. And yeah.
All right, everybody, don't leave yet. We got a few more slides for you.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody for attending, of course. There'll be a little survey at the end when you exit. Please take just a couple minutes just to, let us know what we did great and how we can improve and what you'd like to see next, all that good stuff. I know Danya, yes. I'll send her the ideas for future sessions.
Yes.
We should probably do another voting on top sessions, after the summer. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, Jerry, yes, thank you. Didn't realize you could put detail items in walls. See, there's a good takeaway.
Yeah.
I posted I posted some helpful links in the chat. I'll also put them on the event page as well. I'll also put the recording and the link to the recording, so you can share that with friends. Make sure you subscribe to future events that we have on the community conversation calendar. We have a lot there. Check out Danya's blog posts in the Voices blog. That's awesome. And if you've got expertise in something, we'd welcome you above or aboard the Voices blog. So, you know, lots of resources out there in the community. Next, please. Yeah, these are some of the helpful links I posted, you know, our Twitter, our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our community journal, the student group hub, the community voices. I can't underscore that one enough. There's a lot of great Revit brains in there. You know, you got Danya, Jason, Dan. Oh, holy cow. It's a community helping community. So thank you everybody for attending, and we hope we see you again. And thanks again, Danya. Good to see you, Kimberly.
Thanks, everyone.
All righty. Have a happy Thursday, right?
Yes.
All righty. See ya.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sean,
Thank you.
and thanks, Tanya.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Good to see you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.